Okay, this is a really, really cool panel coming up in continuation of our guest stars panel. We have an incredible group of people that I'm going to call out by name as they approach the stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to give a nice, warm 20th anniversary welcome to the next guest coming up on stage. And our first guest, Mr. John D'Aquino. Susan Griffiths. Delane Matthews. Marjorie Monahan. Harry Groner. And Mr. Brad Silverman.
Here I am again.
We have a latecomer, Liz Torres.
Oh,
Liz Torres.
The lovely Liz Torres.
Bring it on. Oh, yeah.
I think what happened here is since we are in LA and everyone found out there was a Quantum Leap convention going on, everyone said, I'm going. I don't care if I'm not listed. I'm going to be there regardless. Folks, if you could have a seat, I'm going to help moderate this panel a bit. And there, girl, boy, no.
Size 10 feet.
Thank you. You good? Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks, and welcome. You don't necessarily need my help, but I'll try to move this along to make it a little bit more, well, with me involved, it's just uninteresting. With you guys totally involved, it's very interesting. We have two sides of the auditoriums where questions are going to be asked once the people decide they want to form up behind the microphones. But before we start that, we'd like to welcome you. I know you come very, very far. But thank you for being a part of absolute 100% history, and your contributions has just been so fantastic that all of these fans have flown from approximately 13 countries and 32 states just to say hello to you. So if you don't mind, if you can share how your beginnings with Quantum Leap was initiated, and then we'll move on with further stories. So just anybody wants to kick in, go for it.
Okay.
John?
So I'm John D'Aquino. This is Bradley Silverman.
That's
we play
me.
brothers. On well, okay. I know Bradley's gonna tell you if I don't tell you. But how many episodes did you do, Bradley?
Okay.
Here we go.
I've done 4 episodes of Quantum Leap, but during the 4 episodes I've done, I have to say that the entire cast of Quantum Leap, I have to say they were open arms. I couldn't say any better, but they really put their arms around me and they warm welcomed when I was doing the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's incredible to have a cast like that, to have Scott Bakula and I together with all those great hugs that I just love Scott so much. Basically, I'm Brad Silverman.
And you also did another movie with Sean Penn.
I did. I was in the movie with Sean Penn, Michelle Pfeiffer, and the little girl Dakota Fanning, and I Am Sam.
Yeah.
In that movie, besides Quantum Leap, besides I Am Sam, Life Goes On, Phil Donahue.
And it really disturbs me that his credits are better than mine.
All right, John, don't go so far ahead.
And can I jump in?
Jump.
Okay. So I think that the audition for Quantum Leap, I think it was my 5th audition for the show. And I'm sure like every actor on this panel, you know, sometimes you put in a good audition, you think, I think I'm going to get this. And you leave the room and no, you don't get that job. But then it was funny. I lost a couple of big jobs on the Friday before this 5th audition popped up. And then I went in on Monday, and it just kind of was like that perfect marriage of actor and character when you really feel at home in a character. And just like Bradley said, I was really fortunate to get into an episode that was so well written, with a cast that was so strong and shot so well, and such a cohesive family. And then I got to meet Bradley, and we've actually stayed close ever since that time.
All the time.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how we got in, and let's pass it down. Next.
I auditioned too, and I didn't think I got it, and then I got home and I got it, and Belisario called me in and said, "You're very funny, and I want you to get together with the writers." And it was written by Danny Alexander and Paul Brown. And I met with Paul Brown, and we sat in his office and laughed and giggled and talked about it. And lo and behold, I'm not used to anybody listening to me. There's something about the pitch.
What'd you say, Liz?
I rest my case. There's something about the pitch of a woman's voice that men don't hear, and so I'm not used to being listened to. And I was a stand-up comic for years and years and years. I opened for Liza Minnelli and Tony Bennett and Billy Eckstein. Am I dating myself? And so I write jokes. So I was working with Paul Brown, and I opened the script, and there was all the funny stuff, and I just died. I was so happy. And I went in, and there's Dean Stockwell. See, this is my generation. And and I worked with the Sean too, Connery. That's my generation. And I went in, and James Darren was directing.
Whoa. And you were Gidget, obviously, right?
Oh, well, far from it. There's a Hispanical version, but Hispanics we're not big on surfing. So,
Neither am I, thank you.
So I had, James Darren was an absolute dream. There was he was wonderful. I had a ball, and I loved it. Oh no, he didn't direct. He directed the other one with the dog. I'm getting mixed up. Paul Brown directed.
Tequila and Benetti.
Tequila and Benetti. Yeah. Do you remember that show about the dog? So that was James Darren. But Paul Brown, the writer, directed this this episode, and I had an absolutely wonderful time, and it was a dream. And I'm very grateful to have had that experience. And Scott, I couldn't wait for the hug. It was in the end. It was the hug. And thank you.
Okay. Harry, how was it like for you?
It was wonderful. It was the first episode that Scott directed. I believe it was the first one. It was called Permanent Wave, I think. And he was incredible because it seemed as if he'd been doing it forever. The crew loved him. I'm in love with him. I think that's how, as I think you can tell.
Romance.
Yeah, romance. Mm-hmm. No, he was really, really fabulous, and it was as if he'd been directing for years and years and years, and everyone adored him. And I had a lovely time, and it was good to see him again. We worked together in New York. Actually, we did a Broadway show called Is There Life After High School, and this was in the early '80s, I think. And it was just so good to see him and to see where his career was going and where it's going now. It's just he's a dear man, and I adore working with him, and it was a ball.
Excellent, excellent. Hello, Marjorie. Good to see you again. We've worked before.
Yes, we have.
One Strobe Over the Line, I think, was your episode, right?
Yes.
What was your experiences?
Well, as anyone who has worked on the show will tell you, it's an incredible group to be a part of. As you said, the crew just adored Scott, and everybody does, and rightfully so. I had just moved to Los Angeles. It was one of my, I'd done some TV in New York, and then I came to Los Angeles. And I was, you know, I didn't know anybody. I was young. I was like, and terrified of everything. And I got this role, which kind of stunned me. And then you show up on the set, and everybody was so, and especially Scott and Dean, very welcoming and just made you feel safe and cared about and wanted, which then enables you to sort of open up and really do good work. And they were just incredible. And he always said, you know, well, if you're on the lot, you know, come by and say hi. And I did, because I'd be on the lot, you know, auditioning and doing whatever. And you always come by, and they're always happy to talk to you. It was just an astonishing group of people. And still, to this day, one of my favorite roles that I've ever done. It was just an amazing experience. And I got to work with Scott quite a bit, just because of the nature of the story and the director. And it was just great. And a lot of times you guest star on TV, and you're sort of there, and people are like, hey, how are you? And you just go through the motions. And they're kind of going through the motions because they've been doing it for so long, and they know the characters so well. Not all the time, but often enough. And it was not the case at all. This was obviously a small cast, but they were really good actors and really committed to doing good work. So it was just amazing. And I've done conventions, and that's where we've known each other before. One of my favorite stories that people ask me about, and then if you've seen the episode, and I suppose you've seen most of them, we're doing this thing, and there's a lion. And I was a model in the lion as part of this shoot that we're doing, and I get all speeded up on drugs, and I'm harassing the lion. Lion chases me. We're shooting this scene on a bridge in Disney Ranch, and there's the lion, who we've been working with for like 4 days. And you know, the second day, people are sort of stepping over him like he's a big rolled up carpet. And the animal wrangler's going, this is a lion. You know, it's well trained, but a lion. You are sushi to this lion, so just watch it. You know, seriously. So we're like the last day, and the lion's been cool, but so suddenly I'm laying on the bridge, passed out. The lion's standing on this big table, like roaring at me. Going to attend, Scott hasn't gotten there yet to save everything, but so they're having this conversation. I'm laying there, and the director and the animal guy are having this conversation. Like, okay, well, we want to shoot over the lion's shoulder. So we want to look down from behind the lion onto her on the ground, because it'll be a cool shot, and we'll get some of the mane in there, and it'll be cool. Like, all right. But it's like, okay, this is good, but we can see the chain. I've got to take the chain off. Oh. I'm laying there on the ground. Okay, let's see. My eyes are closed. There's a 2,000-pound lion, well-trained 2,000-pound lion, standing on the table. Okay. There's 15 guys right off camera, but if the lion decides to jump off the table, nobody can stop it. So I'm sitting there going, all right, and my eyes are open just enough. So it's like, if this lion moves, I'm rolling off the bridge into the water. And nothing happened, it was fine. But that was just the things that you don't think about when you're, oh, lion. So anyway, it was a fantastic experience, and still, one of my very favorite. And it's a terrific show. It still is. I'm glad that it's back on the air on Ion here anyway. I know it varies in different parts of the country, but it holds up really well. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, Ion picked it up. The Ion channel picked it up and constantly running it. But fantastic. This is Ms. Matthews. Hello.
Hi, I'm Delane Matthews, and what, my mouth, I need two? No. What? Oh, okay.
Speak up, Delane.
I'm not going to really say anything that important. I watched the episode again yesterday that I had the pleasure of doing, and wow, I was younger. No, it's funny you're talking about working with animals. I once did not get a job because being hired was contingent on the monkey liking me. And I don't know what I said, but the monkey did not like me. But Scott did. You know, what are you going to do? No, like you, Scott directed, I don't know, maybe it was the second then, I don't know, but as Scott always does, he has such a beautiful combination of confidence and enthusiasm about learning something else. You know, that's just the way I imagine him living every day. But I'm old enough now. I mean, when I did it when I was, 30 or 29 or something, and I was so grateful to be chosen by him to be in an episode that he directed, that he asked me to do that. But now as I'm older, I realize I'm honored. I'm old enough now to really realize what a vote of confidence and care, what an expression of care and trust that was to be cast, to be asked to do that. I loved every minute of it. Because he was also directing, we didn't get to hang out and yak like I would have preferred to do, but he's just a great guy. I worked with him on Eisenhower and Lutz, and so that's how we knew each other. And so thanks. It's really great to be here, and I'm very appreciative.
Oh, so are we. Hello, Norma Jean. Boy, you went on and took that role, and took it all the way to Vegas and just blew it apart. But before you did that, obviously you got your start on Quantum Leap. If you can share something with us on how you came to be, shall I say?
How I came to be.
Outside of birth.
Hi, everyone. It was doing Quantum Leap was such a thrill for me as well. Working with Scott was such a thrill. I actually got to kiss him 32 times. It was a tough job, but somebody had to do it. I counted the times. No, it was really a risky episode to rewrite history. Playing somebody of historical, monumental as Marilyn Monroe is a tough thing to do, aside from the fact that Quantum Leap had kind of changed history a little bit. Ultimately, the end was still the same. But it was a thrill I had played Marilyn in a movie of the week called Marilyn and Me. So by the time Quantum Leap came around, I was trying not to move my career in that direction. I was trying to do other parts. But what can I tell you? When the casting came up, I wanted to do the show because I'm a fan of the show, and I'm so glad that I did. Thank you. I took my mother to the filming of Quantum Leap because she was here visiting me and she didn't think I really worked that hard. She thought I had a fun job, so I said, okay, I'll take you with me. 3 a.m., she got up. She went to the set with me. She stayed in my trailer while I had fittings, while I had wigs, while I had scene study, all sorts of stuff. And then she was there the day I kissed Scott 32 times. So, it was all a thrill for me. I loved playing it. I'm sorry for the end of the show, but that's the way history was, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Thank you.
Well, none of you guys have aged a day. 20 years later, 20 years later, and you're just as fantastic and gorgeous looking as you always have been since Quantum Leap. We have questions. Remember, if you have questions for our cast, you can go to either microphone. But we have our first question here to whoever.
Thank you. You haven't embarrassed me this morning, so that's good. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi.
I'd just like to say first, Brad, you're such an inspiration. I got ill a few years back, and it's left me physically disabled, and I have to try and show people that I'm still me, even though I've got this problem. And when I see you in the episode you were in, I'm just like, it's so lovely. And it was just so sweet and everything to see that. You were just an inspiration to me, sweetie. So lovely. And John, I've got to say, you have not aged a day since I last saw you 10 years ago. I wish I hadn't, though.
And thank you to the doctor from the plugs of my hair.
Do you have anything? This is a question to all of you. Is there anything that you that happened on the set that that you can still remember that was funny. I love funny stories. Just got to hear them. Hear as many funny stories as I can, and my doesn't seem so bad. That's a question, everyone.
Yeah, there is at the very end of the episode, he gets, my character gets killed, and he gets shot and has to fall into the lake that Scott is standing in with the young child. And it was at night, and it was cold, and poor Scotty was, I don't think Scott had a wetsuit on. They give you wetsuits if you got to be in the water under your clothes. At least it did for me. And that was a blessing. But the funny thing is I fall into the lake, into his arms, and you see him turn me over, which is good. Otherwise, I'd be facing down. But what was interesting about that particular scene is that the wetsuit gives you buoyancy, so you float. And so, but he has to continue the scene with the person that's standing on the bank. So he's talking, but while he's talking, I'm sort of floating away. and so I feel this hand occasionally come toward me and pull me closer to him, and it was very difficult not to laugh. And I'd constantly be floating away, and he's got to be pulling me toward it, and I'm floating away, and he's pulling me toward it. Well, it was hysterical, and of course then we all cracked up when cut was. But we had to do it a number of times, and every time I'd float away, and but that was hysterical. We had I love that. I loved it.
Well, let's segue into that. Is there any other let's see, unplanned circumstances during your filmings? Other than the kissing, I mean.
Well, aside from the kissing, Liz Vassy was my co-star. She played the other woman in Goodbye, Norma Jean. And she decided that we were having kind of a rough day, and that Scott, who's always in an amazing mood, as you all know, he has such a great sense of humor. It just was a rough day, and there was this, it was my death scene, and there was this scene where he rips back the covers, and Liz decided that we needed to cheer him up a little bit. So when he ripped out the covers, she was in bed with me. It put a smile on his face.
Yeah, it's Sunday. I'm not touching that, but who cares?
I kissed Scott 21 times. None of it on camera.
You know, we have an auction going on later at 4 o'clock. If you'd like to donate a plug, we can use that. Anybody else, Liz? Anybody have any other?
I always wanted to die on film, and I don't get to do a lot of dramatic parts because I was a stand-up comic, and they associate me with that. And I don't think not too many people know that I'm a really good actor, aren't I, Harry?
Yes, you are, my dear.
You are. We did Follies together, and he was absolutely wonderful. This man is so talented, and I always wanted to die on film, and I never get a chance to because I'm the best friend with the funny one-liners. So it was a thrill and a joy to die over and over and over and over and over again as the angel. And my most favorite shot was getting shot. I'd never gotten shot on film. It was so cool. And that's it.
How many takes did you have to do for your shots? And were any squids involved in that?
Yeah,
Really?
I bled and everything.
So
and
you had to go back to wardrobe, and how many takes did it take?
I think it was about 5.
So you had to go back to wardrobe 5 times?
Well, I think so. I think that as many outfits, that's how many takes I had.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Anyone else have any funny, unplanned, other than the lion, the lesbians, the homicidal? No, but.
Interesting. The lion was gay. We found that out.
And
That's
under
a
the
whole other
sheets,
thing.
yeah.
Whole other thing altogether.
Gay lions, okay. I know you're thinking hard on that. We have another question here up against the mic. Go for it.
I'm Dan from Minnesota, and I just want to say that one of my favorite quotes from It's a Wonderful Leap is, "I'm not loud, I'm just Puerto Rican." I also have a question for Brad and John. As far as you got lucky as being one of the most influential characters, the guest stars of Quantum Leap, and you got to be in Mirror Image, did you guys have any clue whatsoever, you played Tanchi and Pete, exactly what was going on? Is there anything on the inside that was never, like, information? Does Alice Place actually exist? Was it a dream state? Was it purgatory? Was it subconscious? I mean, were you reading the script going, what the?
Brad, you want to touch that?
I want to touch that. Yeah, I'll touch it. I'll say between the lines. When I say between the lines, it actually means walking through pictures, walking back through time, and being able to see Scott doing that. It shows not only his image from inside of his own heart, but he can also see his image from outside his heart. And no matter where Scott goes, his image will always show.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. All weekend long, I mean, we're here to celebrate Quantum Leap, of course. So it's the show as a whole, with, of course, all of your inclusions and contributions you've done to give us all joy and happiness for the last 20 years. But all weekend long, this has been a Scott Bakula Appreciation Society. and every panelist is up here on stage have told us they're honest and true. It's got to be. There's no way they can make this stuff up. Feelings of Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. When you came on set, typical day, shooting day, how was your treatment? How was your relationships with Scott and or Dean? Were there anything that they did to you that you liked or did not like or anything? I mean, if you say anything negative, don't worry. We turned off all the cameras and recorders in this room, didn't we, folks? So say anything you want.
You know what I remember walking into the makeup room, and the show was supposed to be 1920s, and I shaved my eyebrows, and they were shocked. They said, "You want to what?" I said, "Well, I want the pencil." Yeah. And the makeup man was Judy Garland's makeup man.
Oh my God.
He had done all the Judy Garland shows at CBS. He was a wonderful, wonderful man, and we became friends.
Oh, cool.
And the stories he would tell about Judy Garland, and he had all the tapes of the concerts, and I would go to his house and watch. It was thrilling.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Dean was so nice to my parents. I had my parents on the set. I can't remember if it was the first episode or the second time. And is Dean Italian? Yeah. He is, isn't he? Does he have some half Italian? You sure? I think there is some Italian blood there because he was talking to my father, I think, in Italian. I could be wrong about that, but just remember how kind he was. I ended up having the pleasure of being the #1 guy on a television show not long after being on Quantum Leap. But I have to say, I learned how to behave as the #1 person by watching Scott, because to be beloved by a crew like he was, and I'd always see him pulling all the cables and setting up, and the rapport that he had, and it just was very evident that it all emanated right there, and we had such a great day. Everybody was always smiling and working so hard, but I really learned how to behave on a set, so I was very grateful to him for that.
Harry, Marjorie, any of you guys, any your thoughts and feelings about working with both Scott and Dean? Anything stands out?
What I remember? The first day I got on the set, the very first day, when I first walked on the set, the first thing that Scott did was embrace me with a hug.
Yep, type of guy he is.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Wonderful man to work with. A good friend, and I miss him.
Awesome. Okay, we have questions that's lined up. You guys get ready for this. Let's go on this side of the room. And go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah. Hello. This is a question for Delane and for Harry. You both worked with Scott after Quantum Leap began. Delane, you did The Invaders with him, and Harry, you worked with him on Role of a Lifetime and Enterprise. Was it just a coincidence, or was it a thing from Scott that he said, "Oh, I know the perfect woman for the role," or the perfect guy for the role?
Perfect woman. Wow. That was probably it. I was talking about you. Gosh, I don't know. I like to pretend, I like to believe that it was between me and 25 other equally talented actresses and that Scott picked me. Yeah, no, I don't know. I really don't know, but I've wondered about that. And of course, he's not the kind of person you could say, "Did you have anything to do with me getting this job?" He would never admit it. He would never, "Oh, you got it on your own merit," or he would never, that's the only kind of white lie he would tell, is one that would sort of make you feel better. But no, I just auditioned for that role in The Invaders and found out after the fact that he was my ex-husband in that. No, I don't know. What do you think? Did he?
No, it was you had to audition. I auditioned for Role of a Lifetime and for the Enterprise episode. But they were, again, it was a lovely time working with the man. And of course, I'm such a Star Trek fan, and to be on any Star Trek set is just, yeah, is really amazing. And it was just fun to be in that world with him, and we have a pretty good history, and so it's just coming home. It's like coming home working with Scott. But I gotta say, Dean also is a wonderful, wonderful man, and a truly incredible actor. And I don't think he was wonderful in this series, but I don't know how many people know how wonderful an actor Dean Stockwell is. If you get a chance to, I recently, and this was some months back, I don't know if any of you have seen this, and I think this is true. I saw a very old movie. This was a movie of Long Day's Journey into Night. Have you seen this with Dean Stockwell? Unbelievable, unbelievable work. And for those of you who haven't, I encourage you to rent it or find it and see him in this. Ralph Richardson is in it. It's just lovely, lovely.
Leopold and Loeb, too.
Huh? Leopold and Loeb, yeah.
Compulsion. Compulsion? Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I had brought up earlier the year that I thought around about that Dean was in The Boy with the Green Hair, and everybody was trying to tell me, "Oh, it's the 50s, the 50s." I was trying to insist, no, it was the 40s. It was 1948. I love that movie, The Boy with the Green Hair. Yes, sir?
Hi, good morning to the panel. My name is David. The question for Dee. Dee, if you could perhaps touch on some of your memories as your role as Roberta and some of the things you took away from that episode.
Well, the first thing I remember is being an hour late for work the first day. Before we had cell phones, before we had, ways to communicate that didn't cause possible heart attacks for your director, friend, boss. And I just remember, I was in a panic. I was taking the 118, and I didn't know about the 118, and I got there at last, and managed to not hold up production because we were, the first day they often have you there earlier than you need to be, just so you can find your way about. But Scott walked up to me, and if there was ever a test, he's directing, I'm in every scene with him, and he just laughed. He looked at me and laughed. Well, a lot of people look at me and laugh, but he looked at me and just laughed very lovingly, and I thought, oh my God, if there was ever a time when he could have really, really been short and ill-tempered with me, this would have been a good opportunity. On the other hand, I had some fun, I must say, being rather short and ill-tempered with him in character, as Janie. Heisenberg. That was really, really fun. Nowadays I play a lot of characters that are the B word. And that's so much fun. But back then I just played, the sweet folk. And so that was my first chance at really getting to chew on some sassy. And it was hard for me to do it to Scott the first day. But I got through it. But no, it's just a really, really, really great. The only thing difficult really about the experience was wearing the high heels and those shafts, and sort of running up and down steps with what are they made out of? The grids, and invariably my heel gets stuck. And anything in heels, any woman that wears heels should be worshipped. So. But it was a great experience. Thanks for asking. I'm just really, proud to have been in it.
I just...
Please.
Yeah.
I just want to make one observation. Harry, there are no Puerto Ricans in space. They're afraid we're going to play with the buttons in the treasure. Mira, papi.
Good going, Harriet.
Okay. I can see the spaceship now,
Yeah, of course. The little dingleberries.
I know it.
Over on the other side?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This message is for John.
Yes.
How different was working Quantum Leap and Sequest? And
wow. Night and day. Night and day. But, how candid do you want to be?
Go for it. Give it all.
Let's see. It's the difference of being a part of a family. And well, first of all, I think the scripts were so well written across the board. I think everybody here agrees. A lot of care. Let's give Don Belisario the credit for putting together a team of writers. It was so amazing. I think Sequest, it was a Spielberg show, so we had great hopes for it. But then really sort of, I don't know, there were too many chefs in the kitchen on that one. But then there was also some, there was some meanness and things going on. People were just short with each other, and I think at the top, and it permeated its way down. And unfortunately, we didn't get to have the benefit of having Steven Spielberg because he was shooting Schindler's List at the time. So, yeah, so it was a little bit different. I got fired with anybody pretty much over a certain age after the first season. It was ironic. They were moving the show to Florida, and my family was in Florida, so I was the only one that wanted to go. And then I was in Tallahassee when I got a call from the producer who said, "Good news and bad news, John." I said, "Oh, what is it?" He goes, "The good news is we got a second season. The bad news is you're fired." And this was actually a guy who took over for Tommy Thompson, who did the first 4 episodes of the show, and then got into a war and left. And the first time I met the guy, who will go unnamed in a moment, he said to me, "So I understand you're a friend of Tommy Thompson's." And Tommy and I drove out to California together years ago. And the first time Tommy was on the set of Quantum Leap was as my guest, as my friend, and then later came back as the head writer. But he said, "I understand you're friends with Tommy Thompson." And I'm not Judas. I said, "Well, actually, we're best friends." And he said, "Well, then that's great. You won't have any trouble finding other work." And he made it his mission to get rid of me after that point. So I would say Night and Day would cover it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, this side here.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and thank all of you for taking your time out to come here and be here today. We all appreciate you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
And we appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Brad, this is for you. When
Keep your clothes on, please. Keep your clothes on.
when you were doing the 4 episodes that you did, that, I've gone through a lot in my life, having to, go through certain classes and everything, and I've had to live with epilepsy my whole life, and that just, seeing you do the episodes that you've done, that's really impacted my heart, and, it's been a blessing to me, just having to go on every day. And thank you.
I'm going to jump in on that too. Being on Quantum Leap, being on any show, being an actor like I am, to me, it doesn't really matter what show I get to be a part of. The main reason is that being able to learn, being independent, and being an adult, I can take what they give and what they take back from. They've taken back a lot from me because I give and I speak out to the world because I want the world to listen to what people have to say. And I believe that everyone in this room will also believe that any one of you has a voice. To be able to speak the truth, to be able to speak from your heart is a gift. And take that gift wherever you go out there in this world. Because we know the economy is bad. But take the gift you have because this world needs to know what you have inside of you. And carry it throughout day and night, night and day. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Okay. Unfortunately, we only have time for one last question. Oh, I know, but guess where they're going to be after this, and you can ask them, right? Okay, guess where they're not going to be after this, where we can ask them. Some of them did? Okay. We need to get one last question because, we're going to try and stay on time. So, ma'am, over on the side.
My name's Janice. I'm from Pennsylvania. And all of the panels have talked about how great it was to work with Scott. And I'd really like to hear, because Dean's character of Al wasn't able to have the same interaction with the characters each week. So I'd like to hear some stories about your then off-scene interactions with Dean.
I stalked him.
Well, I can say, unless I break this thing, that because, as you said, we didn't, by definition, didn't have as much interaction with Dean because we couldn't see him. And I was familiar with his character, and I knew his earlier work, and then he was a tremendous actor, and the character is so, funny and odd and irascible and everything. And I didn't know what to expect when I met him. And I have to say, he was so kind, was the word that just stayed in my head the whole time. He was just very, gentle and very kind, just talking to you. And I didn't do scene work with him or anything because I didn't interact with him, but just around, when he'd be on the set or whatever, he was just a very quiet, kind, gentle man whenever I saw him. He was really remarkable. And because of the character that he plays, I didn't really expect that.
I'd like to say the same thing. When I arrived, most of my scenes were with Scott, and Dean would sit there. I think really a lot of successful teams are very different in personality, and that's what makes them successful. And they're both very different. The thing I love about Scott, just to hit on that real quick, is that he has no hierarchy. He treats everybody the same. And I was so impressed with that. I would watch him get down in the dirt, clean, do whatever it took to make Quantum Leap happen, and I was so impressed with him. I only saw that in John Travolta. It really is amazing when somebody who's at the top does that, I think. But Dean was so encouraging to me as an actress, and I told you I brought my mother, and he was so nice to my mother. He is the kindest, sweetest, man, he really is a lovely person. He's just very quiet, gentle.
I could add one thing.
Sure,
Is
please.
I rarely get starstruck, mainly because I don't see or hear well, and I don't know who's around me. But
That's obvious.
I was really starstruck around him because I'm familiar with his body of work, and I also know that he went through a very, very, a period of time where he just couldn't get work, and he was selling shoes, and he was doing whatever, he could to support his family, and that's the life of an actor, and it's when you're up, everybody loves you, right? And when you're down, your friends do, and you find out who your friends are, and it's fantastic. There's always a good side. But he was, like you're saying, he's just really soft-spoken and sweet, but I was starstruck, and so I was really nervous around him when I was around him initially. And he was gracious enough I asked him for an autograph, okay? And he didn't just give me an autograph. He went and got one of the cigar boxes that they keep the cigars that he smoked on the show. And he signed a cigar box. He signed the top of it. And then on the inside, I didn't read it until later because I was shaking too hard to open it until later on. But on the inside, he wrote, "Keep being your sweet self," And I just may have confused me with someone else. I'm not sure. But I thought he was just a sweetheart.
Wow, fantastic stories. I know we have to wrap. We're actually, I was told to ask the last question at 2:05, and 12:05, so we're fine. So, in a very, very short sentence, for each and every one of you, can you possibly tell us what you're doing now, currently, if you have any projects going on, really briefly, and then we'll wrap it and end it for the day with these folks. What are you doing now? Anyone can tell us?
Most of us usually in our downtime look for work. But the next thing that I'll be doing is working with a company called Reprise here in LA. They, you know what they are? No. And we'll be doing the Fantastics, and I'll be doing that.
Cool.
So, and we start rehearsal in April, rehearse for a couple of weeks, play for a couple of weeks, and then we're done. So that's the next thing for me.
He sings like an angel.
So do you.
Oh, thank you.
I have to thank all these guys up here on this panel, besides Brother John and all of you. I want to say that working with all of you again, back when we did our episode on Quantum Leap, all of you guys, I have to say that you're my friends. I never had the chance to be able to look back to those memories again, and I'm proud to be up here on this panel to tell you all up here on this panel how grateful I am to be a part of the Quantum Leap 2009 family, and that is a gift. Thank you for having me up here.